long run. Since both countries have a vibrant economy and democracies, they have common goals and common interests, particularly the war on terror. America is on the hit list of terrorists, and India on the hit list of local groups thirsting for vengeance. Thus, this alliance will only become more closer in terms of teaming up against combating against terrorism. Moreover, US and India military alliance is a perfect match. The US military forces focus on the Atlantic and the Pacific, while the Indians have a rising influence in the Indian Ocean. This will keep sea routes open for trade and transit. While India's democracy and legal systems are more in tune with those in the West, it places India at an advantage over China in building relations with the West. Strong ties also exist between India and America, both through diaspora and education. Education in US universities has always been preferred by Indian students. From 2000 to 2005, the student population has increased by 38%. And we have the highest student growth rate for 2007-2008, which is 12.8%. All this only goes to show that Indian immigrants in the US are not seen as a labor class, but as intellectual people. Moreover, the Indo-US nuclear deal will also give a huge technological edge to the Indian industry in the area of nuclear power generation by opening more opportunities for Indian companies. We will be able to supply power at cheaper rates. The nuclear energy coming to India would help the country sustain its GDP growth that it has achieved for the last few years. Finally, I'd like to end with a question. Would we like to be a back office to a manufacturing giant like China, or a collaborator to one of the largest superpowers, which contributes to a quarter of the world's GDP? So I'd leave you with that thought. Thank you.
Thank you very much. An excellent comeback, and now Shubhranshu.
Good afternoon, respected jury members, respected chairperson ma'am, my learned opponents, and the house. I shall extend the line of argument as already explained by Cheyenne. Let me bring to your notice, dear friends, the role of the socio-cultural background that decides how much we mingle with a country or develop relations. Countries like SAARC, that's the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, share similar histories, colonial backgrounds, and also problems such as illiteracy, high disease rates, climatic conditions, and also economic, they are also developing, mostly in the third world sectors. Thus, we see that all these countries have unified problems and thus can achieve, progress and go for unified goals or unified solutions. Again, coming back to the social aspect of the theory, India is a place where even now the large BPO corporations or the workers still touch the feet of the parents. Even in the face of toughest of competitions, we see that culture has not lost it totally. So basically, I would like to say that Asia stands a much larger chance of preserving that integrity of the social unit called family that India so well supports and upholds as its traditional integrity. Let's moving on towards the rather controversial concepts and facts of the Indo-US nuclear deal. Let me make clear a very big fact, that is, India may have progressed in nuclear sciences with the help of such great persons like Abdul Kalam and others, but basically it still doesn't have that amount of excellence or development in the nuclear field as does the giant USA. So basically, even though USA may supply some amount of nuclear fuels and also certain amount of technologies to India, we shall still remain dependent on them in the near future for further technologies and amount of help, thus making us liable to be, depending on them a lot in the future. And if they stagger, we would be liable to be staggering too. USA has also moved over to a new regime where it threatens to destabilize the Indian BPO and IT sector, which forms a major sector of Indian economy. Because as the new Obama government clearly mentions that it would like to stop all sorts of outsourcing of IT jobs to other countries. Again, we can say that USA has taken a stance, as even I saw in today's morning headlines, that they are going for a certain view on Indian occupied Kashmir in its Indian Kashmir rather, that's Pakistan occupied Kashmir, that is just another conflict like Libya or Sudan. But basically India has a viewpoint that Kashmir is its own territorial property. And also China has moved from its territorial conflicts to a better stance at creating cooperation and strategism.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Packed full of arguments and more to go, I know. We'll hear you later. So, Shivanandan. Thank you. Would you like to speak?
Good afternoon, everyone. Now let us first understand the topic very clearly and answer a few questions based on it. India's future lies with Asia and not with the United States. Now, what exactly do we mean by India's future? Firstly, at this point of time, our primary concern will certainly be our security. With the 26/11 Mumbai attacks still alive in our minds, a feeling of safety and general peace would be a serious desire for all Indians. We would like to live a free world with no risk of terror attacks whatsoever. Now, who is it in the world who can help us out on this issue and achieve our goal? Certainly the United States. After all, it is a country so mighty in terms of its armed forces and information technology. And we certainly need this state-of-the-art technology to combat the sudden and rapid rise of terrorism in our country. The second main concern for the future of India is the eradication of poverty and the improvement of the present infrastructure. Poverty is a great concern for any nation, and for a country like India, which aspires to gain a superpower status. Poverty is something which needs to be encountered. And once again, only the United States has the potential to help us in terms of in monetary terms to deal with this problem. The United States is the world's largest economy, accounting for about 1/4 of the global GDP. With such huge revenues in its lockers, it can certainly fund many such development projects which require large capital. Moreover, the United States are helping us out even now because most of the FIIs, that is the foreign investors, investing in our nation are mainly Americans, American retail investors, and not only our neighboring nation, and not our neighboring nations like in Asia. The last, important yet least thought of vision for India will be the protection and sustainable use of its present natural resources. Natural resources play a vital role in the growth of any nation. An important cause for the growth of many affluent nations of today, it has been their natural resources and their sustainable use. So India has presently signed the historic Indo-US nuclear deal to develop a very important alternative source of power. This will benefit the entire nation as a whole because power sector is a basic industry and uninterrupted cheap power supply is important for the growth of the manufacturing industries. Good relations with the US will also entitle us to the knowledge of other new technologies which might be developed in the future. Moreover, the entire world is dependent on the United States in one way or the other. Elections in the US, the entire world is concerned about it, as even a small change in policy in the United States affects the entire world. In the end, I'd like to ask you a question. In a race, how can we depend on a competitor in Asia like China to give us a push? Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt. Thank you very much. Excellent.